Hello, hello. Hey, hey. How we doing? Are we all doing good today? Oop, my tits is still showing the icons. I hope that goes away. If not, alright, it did go away. Man, you guys have such cute emotes. I'm jealous. But, we've got emotes on the way. I'm waiting for an update from the artist, but the commission's already out there. I think their final due date, according to Fiverr, is the 12th, so, you know, at most like a week from today. And then afterwards, I think Twitch has like some approval process. I'm not super familiar with it yet, but hopefully they'll be up, you know, at most a couple days after I upload them. But yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. We got 12 emotes, one of them animated. I think I'll only be able to put like 5 or 10 up on Twitch in the beginning, but they'll all be on Discord at least. And I can use them for like memes or stuff like that, so I'm excited. I am super excited. The audio is like a good balance right now, right? I'm not like too loud and the music's not too loud. Yeah, Rax. It's super exciting. Oh gosh, it didn't even process that I also need to get like a subscriber badges. I might not commission those though. I might just make those. But now that I'm looking at it, you have the star, and I'm like, oh shit. What? I definitely did not say a curse word for no reason just now. I'm realizing that I should try and be a little more idol-like. Little more idol-like. Badge equals nut? Exactly. The question is, do you know what kind of nut? Do you know what kind of nut? Because we're gonna need like multiple tiers, right? So that inevitably, when I blow up, you guys can have like the old people fancy pants badges that look super fancy while all the plebs are like first month. Exactly, Rax. D's. Hey, Mystery. How are you? Okay, while we're talking about nuts, okay, I'm just testing my tits. Okay, tits working. Excellent. Also want to... Boom. Awesome. You want me to see an emote? Rax, is this gonna be appropriate? I'm gonna have to find that channel. Gonna have to follow it. That emote's got me feeling a certain kind of way. But yeah. How's everyone's Tuesday going? Like, you guys do anything good with your Tuesdays? Are you guys, you're like a student, right, Rax? Did you have class today? I had a great work day today because yesterday we were like I can't go too much into details about the work, but yesterday we were troubleshooting something and we were having like connectivity problems with a USB, right? And so I don't know if you guys know how a USB works, but apparently the standard for USB, wait, actually, you maybe want Krita here? Bob? Okay. Bam. So apparently the standard for USB is like how the computer or whatever tells it's connected is like you have two lines, and when it's plugged in, it knows it's plugged in because we hold it at a certain voltage, right? So we hold it at like, I think it's 5 volts or something like that, right? Using what's called a tie-down resistor. But we were having connectivity issues, and it was like, the computer was like sometimes thinking it was disconnected when it wasn't. And the guy was like, oh yeah, I mean, it's probably like a capacitor that's discharging for a second. We should maybe try, you know, different cables and whatnot. And he was like, I think we should try a shorter cable, because shorter cables are generally better for faster data switching, right? Faster data transfer. But I was like, no. We should do a longer cable. Because oddly enough, if what's happening is like the cable is like discharging, we want it to discharge slower. So we need more capacitance, right? So that then a bigger, longer cable with more metal would help. But I don't think he was really on board with it. And we tried a shorter cable. A shorter cable did not work. But today, we tried a longer cable. And it worked. Your girl got it right when he got it wrong. So score 1 for Belle. Score 1 for Belle. Put 1 on the scoreboard, because that guy makes me feel dumb all the time. But your girl was right here. Your girl was right. Your girl's a genius. Hi, Ash. How are you? How are you? Okay, I should probably clean up my diagram, because this has nothing to do with what we're teaching about today. Today we're teaching about... Oh god, I drew on the background. Today we're teaching about biochem, which I honestly is like not even remotely close to my field of specialization. Bell 1, that guy's... I mean, really right now it's like Bell 1, that guy like 10, because that guy is very smart. Longer is better, got it? Yeah, mystery. Sort of. Sometimes. Only this one niche situation, really. Longer is better if you need it to be slower. If you need it to be slower, then longer is better. But, if you want it to be faster, then short is the way to go. Thank you for throwing things at me. I'm doing well, Ash. Like I was saying, today was a great day at work. Score 1 for Belle. Score 1 for Belle over that one guy who's constantly smarter than and I don't have anything against him. He always seems super smart, and I'm like, man, I feel like an idiot when I talk with him, because I'm like I'm not, let alone the same page, I'm like chapters behind him. But we got him today. But yeah, I mean, today was like the first real work day of the week for me, because I'm not gonna lie, yesterday I went to work like a complete zombie. I went to work like a complete zombie because I pulled an all-nighter the night before last night. The night leading into yesterday, I pulled an all-nighter because I wanted to finish my V-Shoujo audition tape. And I waited until the last minute, of course, like normal Belle behavior. Mondays? Are you right? I mean, it wasn't a normal Monday situation. But here we are, we made it, and we get to talk and teach today, teaching biochem. I actually don't know if actual biochem people would consider this biochem. I feel like this is biochem, so I'm calling it biochem, but it's maybe not as nuanced and in-depth as like the actual biochem people will probably claim it to be. Like Faye might watch this later down the... Faye probably won't. I think Faye does not contribute to my content at all. But if she were to watch this, she might be like, you're a Dumbo. And thank you for the nuts, Ash. Thank you for the nuts. Yes, I do enjoy the nuts. I do enjoy the nuts. Another day keeps the doctor away? Well, the doctors are not coming anywhere near me, clearly. What? I mean, it's 'cause they're in all my furniture, holding the bolts together. Don't get it twisted, guys. Don't get it twisted. Hi. Hi, Higami. Is this your this is like the first time I've seen you in my chat, so I assume this is your first time in channel, but I don't know. Well, Ash, maybe you'll just have to fuck around and find out. Okay. It is 7:13. Maybe we'll give it another minute or two while we just hang out, chill out. You saw me. Wait, you saw from the raid during your armor? Oh, that was like. That must have been over a month ago. I feel like it's a long time. So you're another from Ayuki's channel. No wonder you recognized Rax. Although Rax must get around because it seems like Rax is subbed to several of the streamers that I watch. Rax has a Sweetly emote, so he must be subbed to her, which sort of surprised me because I've only just sort of found Sweetly, but Sweetly's amazing, amazing. It's probably because I only recently like fell into this gacha game hole. I should stream more Armored Core 6 again? Interesting. Okay, maybe I will. I was sort of like, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little discouraged playing it because I feel like some of those bosses I'm just gonna beat my head against a wall for like hours, and I feel like that is not enjoyable to watch. Ooh. Wait, I don't think I've even seen that emote before, Rax. That Sweetly emote? No one uses it in her. It's not as chibi style as the rest of them, though. Oh, you think it's very enjoyable to watch, huh, Ash? You just love watching me get smashed, huh? Love watching me get smashed. Wait, that's actually... How have I never seen these emotes before, Rex? They're so good. I literally watch her, like... I probably watch her, like, 3 nights a week, and I've not seen these before. They are very fancy. Okay.
Smash and chill?
Smash and chill, exactly. Although, I don't know about the chill with Armored Core. I think that most recent time I was playing Armored Core, I was using the flamethrower. You know, shooting that hot, sticky napalm all over. I can't. One of these days, people are gonna come here with the intent to learn, and then they're gonna be like, why am I watching a degen? Why do I trust this person who clearly has no taste to teach me anything at all? Anyway, okay, so I am curious because what I want to talk about today, I feel like it's not necessarily that well known, right? In terms of like the actual science, like at a very physical level of what's happening behind fat loss, right? Because I feel like when people want to lose weight, they learn like what they're supposed to do. They don't necessarily learn what's happening though, right? And I'll be honest, you don't necessarily need to know what's happening to lose weight, right? You need to know what to do. But I think it is very enlightening to see and to find out like what is physically happening in your body when you want to lose those extra pounds, because, you know, I guess I was going to say you want that summertime body, but I guess summer's like ending here. Rest in peace, Northern Hemisphere summer. It's going away. I mean, are we still considered in summer, or is it starting to be fall now? I don't actually know what day it switches. You want the winter bot? Well, you can still pay attention and learn what doesn't happen when you're trying to maintain your fat. Wait. Mystery, what? Discord? Who's Discord? Did I miss something? When you want to gain weight and muscle. Okay, I mean, that's a separate conversation, Mystery. I can tell you, like, what you're supposed to do that, but I don't actually know as much, like, of the science behind it. But anyway, so when you guys lose fat, do you guys, perchance, maybe you do because you're maybe STEM enjoyers and that's why you're in your channel. Do you guys know what happens to your fat? Right? When people are like, I want to lose 10 pounds, which actually, that's a lot, but that's like a lot. But if you like go through all the steps and you're like dieting and you're exercising, do you know what happens to the fat? It gets eaten, nom fat cells. I mean, yes, but like, where does it go, right? Where, like, you have to physically lose weight, right? So what happens to all that mass, right? All that mass, all that thick mass. Sorry. I am curious because I feel like this is not something people talk about. Okay, so if you don't know where it goes, you're gonna learn today, hopefully. It turns into ketones or something for energy. Interesting. I'll say you have maybe a misunderstanding of the process, right? So remember, guys, when we talk about losing fat, normally, first of all, if you are trying to lose fat, the key is caloric deficit, right? That's calories in and calories out. Right, and that's like, if anyone is telling you that this doesn't matter when you're trying to lose weight, you should stop listening to them, because at the end of the day, this is what you need to do to lose fat, right? You can learn all sorts of other things. You can talk about, you know, different exercise regimens, different diets, but if they do not in some way accomplish this, then you will not lose body mass. Pure sexiness. Clean your room like a proper adult. What if you, I mean, I like my room dirty, if you know what I mean. Okay, but like I said, calories in minus calories out. Calories, if you're not familiar, are a unit of energy, right? So it's the same sort of stuff as joules, right?
Of course you do, Bell winking face.
But you'll also notice that calories are not mass. Okay, so how is it that we end up worrying about energy units if we want to lose mass units, right? And the secret to that is chemistry, of course, because obviously somewhere there's a conversion, or not quite a conversion, somewhere there's a link between mass and energy here, right? And the answer is not that mass turns into energy, okay? I'll tell you that. Your fat does not just poof turn into energy and stop existing as mass, because we can't convert mass into energy without like a nuclear reaction, right? And that's not what you're doing. That's not what you're doing when you're losing weight. You don't turn into a nuclear reactor unless you're like some crazy superhero. So somewhere along the line, we need chemistry to help us understand this relationship between the energy, which is what we're looking at here, and the mass, which is where, you know, you physically lose your fat. So in chemistry, right, the tool we're going to use today, we like to deal with chemicals and chemical formulas. So I'll start by saying, in terms of fat is normally, excuse me, sorry. Fat is normally in our body made up of what's called triglycerides, right? That's 90% of like the actual fat, you know, chemicals in our body. So triglycerides come from the word tri, and tri means 3. And glyceride comes from glycol. It is a type of alcohol. So basically what triglycerides are is it's a base of glycol, and then it attaches to 3 acids. Okay? And which acids it attached to can vary. But normally, there's generally 3 main ones in the human body for our triglycerides. But sometimes there are others, right? And sometimes there are different combinations. But the 3 that you're generally, for the most part, looking at when you look at triglycerides are: first, there's one called oleate. And I'm going to mispronounce these, I'm sure, because I'm not like a chemist. So I don't I don't necessarily know all the proper pronunciations. The fancy, you know, science pronunciations. I'm gonna butcher all these. Oleate, which is a chemical formula of C18. Actually, I'm going to quickly change my paintbrush size because I always do this. I always use too thick of a paintbrush and then it ends up looking really messy. All right. C18, H34, O2, right? That's oleate. The second one is palmitate, C16, H32, O2, and the third one is linoleate, and that is C18, H32, O2, right? And like I said, normally our triglycerides are a combination of 3 acids and this glycol, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna combine those into one of what we'll assume is the average human fat molecule. So our glycol adds to this, it adds 3 carbon and 3 hydrogen. So altogether, our carbons should be 18 plus 16 plus 18 plus 3, and that gives us 55 carbon, so C55. Our hydrogen should be 34 plus 32 plus, plus 32 plus 3. Wait, sorry, I said 3, I meant 6. This shows you how, like, this is definitely not my forte, and I have to keep referring to my note sheet. 3 carbon and 6 hydrogen from our glycol. So altogether, that should give us 104 hydrogen. And then we have the oxygens here, too, right? So that should give us 6 oxygen. Our final chemical compound for our average human fat molecule is C55H104O6, right? Now, again, somehow with the chemistry, we need to find out how this relates to energy, okay? Energy. Question mark. So, if you're familiar with, you know, basics of chemistry, you might understand that energy is involved with chemicals in chemical reactions. And you might not know what sort of chemical reaction, you know, needs to happen for this to relate to energy, but I'll say that you've probably heard of it, right? Because it's probably the most famous type of, most well-known type of chemical reaction. It's a chemical reaction called combustion. Okay? And the general formula for combustion is you have some sort of fuel, which could be a lot of different things. Normally, I think when you first learn about combustion in schools, you learn about fuels being hydrocarbons. In this case, it'll end up being the fat, but it's a fuel plus some amount of oxygen, and what that turns into is some amount of carbon dioxide, CO2, some amount of water, H2O, and then some energy. Right? Your favorite chemical reaction? Exactly. Exactly, combustion, because we love fire. Okay, so normally I think when you learn combustion for the first time, they probably teach you that what goes in here is called a hydrocarbon, Hydrocarbons are a specific class of chemical made completely of carbon and hydrogen. So a great example would be methane. Methane is a single carbon and 4 hydrogen. And if you add methane into this equation, the full equation for the combustion of methane, I think, is CH4. Gasoline? Not cool. I mean, there is, gasoline does undergo combustion. CH4 plus O2 gives us CO2 plus H2O. You do some quick fancy math, and I think you get 2 molecules of water, and that means you need 2 molecules of oxygen. So the full equation ends up being a single molecule of methane plus 2 molecules of oxygen, O2, gives you 1 molecule of carbon dioxide and 2 molecules of water. I'm very quick. I actually did not pre-plan this equation in my notes, so I need to very quickly verify that my numbers are right. Check, make sure 1 carbon on each side, 4 hydrogens on each side, 4 oxygens on. Yeah, okay. But anyway, and then of course, the other byproduct is energy. Okay? So, when we do fat burning, it's the same thing, right? It's the same combustion general formula, except instead of using methane, we use this fat cell, right? This is our quote-unquote average fat cell, C55H104O6. C55H104O6 plus some amount of oxygen. This one I actually have already done the math on. She lies because she actually stole this math from someone who's actually already done the presentation on this. But the long story short is I already know the numbers for this. It is 78 molecules of oxygen, 55 molecules of carbon dioxide, 52 molecules of water, and again, we end up with some energy release too. So right away, you should be able to see here what happens with the mass. Well, Higami, there can be a pop quiz if you want. If you want a pop quiz, you'll probably pass because I probably couldn't grade it very well anyway. But you should be able to see that while we get energy out of this equation, the mass doesn't disappear, right? The mass is just turning from fat and oxygen into carbon dioxide and water. So this is the answer to where your fat goes, right? What happens is we convert it into carbon dioxide, which we breathe out, and water, which, we can pee out, we can sweat out, we can keep in our bodies in some way, right? That's what happens with the fat, okay? Now then, in terms of this energy portion, right? This energy component. We've done a lot of math involving, mass and molecules. What about the energy, right? So when we need energy, we're normally measuring that in calories. But generally, when people do math and chemistry, I think they prefer to do joules. Although you can do calories, right? But let's do some math on, how we end up with calorie amounts for the fat we lose, right? So in terms of this whole equation, we do have measured amounts of what's called enthalpy, which is how much energy gets released from this, right? And that, of course, is based on, how much fuel we use. So when we do this equation, we end up with an enthalpy reading in terms of energy per mole. Yeah, I think it's energy per mole for this reaction. And I'll just say, I couldn't find the number for this quote-unquote average fat molecule. I did find the number for oleate, so we'll use that. But it'll play out exactly the same because oleate is just one part of the fat cell, and it just gets, you know, sort of multiplied to represent the others. Heat comes into the equation too. Yeah, Rack. So the heat is here, right? Yeah, energy is what the units of heat are, right? Heat is energy. Or the energy can turn into other things. It can turn into motion, right? It can turn into pressure. It can turn into, you know, I think it can turn into like electric potential. They're all just different ways to store energy. And I guess technically heat is motion already, right? Heat is just molecules moving. Okay. So in terms of our enthalpy for this one reaction, the amount of energy for 1 mole of this guy is our units are our symbol for this is delta H for change in enthalpy from one side to the other. And it is negative 11160 kilojoules per mole. And if you're wondering why it's negative, negative is just indicative of which side the energy goes on. So if energy comes out of the reaction, that's what's called an exothermic reaction. That means energy ends up on this side. If our enthalpy number was positive, then our energy would be on the left side. And that would be what's called an endothermic reaction, right? So that would be feeding energy in to change the chemical compounds. But this is 11,160 kilojoules per mole, right? Now, what we care about with fat is not moles. We normally like to measure fat in, you know, weight or pounds. So let's quickly convert that. The process for that is, first of all, figuring out how much mass is in a mole. So with our average fat molecule, which is, again, actually, sorry, not average fat molecule, we're doing this for oleate, which was C18, H34O2, oleate, right? That means there's 16, sorry, I'm having so much trouble speaking today. 18 carbons. Carbon has a atomic weight of 12, right? So it's 18 carbon atoms times the atomic weight of 12, which means that 1 mole of carbon, or 18 moles of carbon technically here, because there's 18 moles of carbon in our 1 mole of oleate, turns into 216 grams. Our 34 molecules of hydrogen times the atomic weight of hydrogen is 1, gives us 34 grams. And then our 2 oxygens, which have an atomic weight of 16, gives us 32 grams, right? So when we have 1 mole of oleate, it weighs the total of all of these, which ends up being 282 grams, right? Now this is grams. We normally prefer pounds because we love our freedom units. We love freedom units. So we'll quickly do the math on switching that to pounds. And 1 pound, also technically grams is mass, but we'll assume we're on Earth. So it's nice and easy to just pretend that it's a straight calculation of, you know, force to force. 1 pound is the equivalent of 453.59 grams, okay? So if we want this 1 mole to, instead of being 1 mole, to be 1 pound, we need to multiply it by 453 point, we'll just round it to 6, divided by what it already weighed, 282, and that gives us 1.61 moles is the same as a 1 pound, okay? So if we want to lose 1 pound of this oleate, we need to lose 1.61 moles of it, right? Or we need to burn 1.61 moles in our reaction. Okay? Okay, time for a new page, because we're at the end of our first page already. I honestly didn't expect to use this much paper for this. This was supposed to be a pretty short lesson. Okay, so we need 1.61 moles of fuel for this reaction, to fuel our combustion reaction. If you remember, our enthalpy per mole was 11160 kilojoules per mole. So if we multiply these together, we'll get a raw kilojoule amount. And that would be 1.61 times 11160. And that gives us 17,950 kilojoules. Okay, so this is the amount of energy in 1 pound of oleate. Oleate? I think technically sometimes it's called oleic acid, if I'm remembering right. But anyway, of course, again, we're in the wrong units, right? We didn't want to be in grams, we want to be in pounds. And we also don't want to be in kilojoules. We want to be in calories, right? Because that's what we count, right? When we're eating, we count calories. So if we do the quick conversion of kilojoules to calories, 17,950 kilojoules turns into 4,290 kcal. And when you hear in general science a calorie, they're talking about like a normal calorie. That's the amount of energy required to raise 1 milliliter of water 1 degree Kelvin. But when you look at food, right? When you look at your food wrapper, they're not talking about normal calories. They're talking about kcal, which is what we have here. And that is 1,000 of those like normal science calories. Just so you know, right? So the other way to denote it is normally if they're talking about kcal, they use capital C. And if they're talking about like the normal science calories, they use lowercase c. But anyway, 1 pound of oleate creates 4,290 kilocalories, right? Now, if you're familiar with weight loss and you've been through this process and you're like, oh, I need to lose weight, I need to do that whole, caloric deficit, calories in, calories out thing, you might realize that this number is a little weird, okay? Because if you ever talk with people about how many calories you need to be at a deficit in order to lose your weight, they'll say 1 pound means 3,500 calories. Okay? 3,500 kcal deficit loses you 1 pound of fat. And that's a pretty big difference between what we have calculated, right? We calculated 4,300 and they told you 3,500. That's a 20% difference. Where's the difference coming from? Well, the truth of the matter is, we've been talking about chemistry and we've been talking about atoms. When you lose fat, you're losing fat tissue. Fat tissue is not just pure like fat molecules. It's not just like, you don't have just chunks of your body are just a bunch of fat molecules. What you have is called adipose. Adipose is they're called adipose cells, right? It's a type of tissue. And your adipose cells are actually cells that surround the fat molecules, right? The percentage of adipose cells that is actually fat tends to be anywhere from, I think it can be as high as 95% to all the way as low as like 70% in some of the leaner parts of your body. So when you lose 10 pounds of like body fat, only like somewhere in this range of 95 to 70% of it is going to be actual fat cells. Sorry, not cells, actual fat molecules, right? So really, you can lose like 10 pounds of body fat, quote unquote, the fat tissue, and like 8 pounds of it will be these fat molecules. So if we're only burning like 80% as much, and we reduce this 4,300 number down, what does it turn into? That's right, it turns into 3,500-ish, roughly, right? Because this is all like slightly depends on, you know, exactly what kind of fat molecules you have, right? Exactly what acids are in there, exactly what percent of your adipose is actual fat molecule. So that's how you end up with those numbers if you've seen them, right? The 3,500 calorie rule of, you know, 3,500 calories loses you a pound of fat. Because you're only losing, like 0.8 pounds of fat molecule, which gets turned into energy, and it gets turned into this much energy. And then the rest of it is like, there's a significant amount of water too. But again, if you remember earlier, we were talking about how the fat like leaves your system. It leaves in carbon dioxide and water, right? So that extra water that you're losing from the water in your adipose tissue, you know, just comes out with this, you know? Pee out a little more, sweat out a little more. But yeah, so if you want to lose weight, what you have to do is you have to drive your body to feel the need for energy, right? So you do exercise, right? That's why we exercise, is our body needs energy to do exercise. And that forces us to do this combustion reaction. And then the reason you eat less is because the less you eat, the more it chooses to burn fat instead of just burning the things you ate. Anyway, that was all for the lesson today. It was a nice short lesson. I didn't really know what to teach about. It was sort of just like yesterday. I was like, what should I teach about? And I sort of knew this like from before. And I don't think it's necessarily stuff that people know just from like normal health classes or high school bio or anything like that. So when I learned this, thought it was super interesting. And I wanted to share that with you guys. Your Snickers bar is actually 180,000 calories. Yes. With the lowercase c, yes, that is correct. With the uppercase c, I guess it's 180. Is a Snickers bar really only 180 calories? I'm not sure if... I guess. I feel like it's a lot more, but maybe not. All that sugar. All that sugar! But yeah, I guess I should give credit. Most of the math was stuff that I had done, but a lot of the basis for this came from a really interesting TED Talk that I watched. It must be like years ago now. Probably like 8 years ago. That goes over all this like crazy chemistry stuff. But I thought it was super cool. And I feel like when you go out and you ask people that question of like, you know, what happens to your fat when you lose fat? I think a lot of people do want to say, oh yeah, it turns into energy. But physically, you should know that it turns into carbon dioxide and water, right? You should know that the mass doesn't just, you know, like poof. And I think also, because you don't see it, right? You don't see carbon dioxide really leaving your body. You probably greatly underestimate how much you breathe out. Because you're like literally breathing out your weight when you exercise, when you burn fat. That's where your body weight is going. You're breathing it out. So just think about that next time you're exercising. Next time you're losing fat and you're in the gym, you're on the treadmill and you're like, you can think to yourself, I'm literally just like spitting the fat, the remnants of the fat atoms back out into the air just by breathing. I think it's super cool. I also don't think I necessarily did that great of a lesson here. Sorry, I'm not always the #1 star best teacher, but I hope you guys learned something. Also, I think maybe we should view the TED Talk, because I think the TED Talk does a great job explaining it, so maybe we'll look at that too. Behind losing weight. Also, I don't know why, but when I teach, I always end up actually when I stream in general, I guess, I always end up sort of sweaty. Kinda gross. You sickos probably like that, though. How do you count calories and control calorie intake? Okay, Rex. The secret to that is you use a calorie calculator. So there's plenty of apps that will help you determine how many calories you're eating. The hard part is being diligent and recording everything, right? As long as you are diligent and you record everything, and you record everything accurately too, those apps will be really good. They'll be very accurate. But humans are really shitty at estimating. That's what I'll say. So if you're trying to watch your calorie intake, measure it. Measure how much food you're eating, by weight, okay, or by volume. Because if you don't measure it, you will estimate it to be wrong. Okay, that's my tips. In terms of how many calories you're burning, that is generally very dependent on what exercise you're doing and your body weight. So I would again probably use some of the calculators online. But really, it's the big thing about it is it's very hard to work off a ton of calories. I think if you want to work off a ton of calories, the most straightforward way is to do cardio. But I think when you really end up looking at the calories you're eating, you'll find that it's way easier to cut calories out by not eating as much. Right? If all you care about is losing weight, it's easier to eat less than it is to exercise more, because that one muffin you have in the morning, that is like so many sit-ups or jumping jacks or push-ups or running like that. It's really easy to up your calories, and it's really hard to move enough to burn them off. Anyway, let's see. Do I want this one? Give me one moment. Oh.
Crunch. It's really complicated.
And I guess I should kill the background music. Anyway, this is... You guys can see this, right? First of all, this is the TED Talk that I really learned a lot of this from, that inspired me to really learn this subject. Listen to Eye of the Tiger and stay hungry? Exactly, miss. I mean, I won't lie. If you're trying to lose fat and you don't feel hungry, it probably means you're not losing fat as effectively as you could.
Right. Well, I might get myself into a position here.
I should turn up the volume.
And on the red carpet. I don't think
You guys, the audio's a good amount for you guys, right?
I need to introduce myself, do I? But this is the last talk for the day. We will have a little bit of wrap-up after this. And we will have a little little time to reflect
audio.
and maybe some questions. I know some of you will want to get home, but let's get cracking because we've got about, well, probably 12 minutes is my talk. Maybe it might go for 15, so don't panic if that thing goes over. So, here we go, the mathematics of weight loss. Well, let me start with this. Last year, I went surfing in Fiji. And the resort had a photographer following us around taking all these photos, which was really great, except that I couldn't help but notice this.
Guys, how would you feel? Like, I'm not trying to, like, make people feel bad, but you ever have those moments where you see yourself in a picture and you're like, wait a second, is that really my shape?
Somehow
nice
I
shoulders,
managed to
exactly.
become
That's
5
what we're
kilograms
looking at.
overweight. Couldn't believe my eyes. So I did what they tell you to do. I ate less and I moved more. And within just 3 months, I discovered I'd lost 6 kilograms. So then I did what a normal person does. I did physics, but anyone would do this. I graphed my weight. And when I did the linear regression,
I've never done this before.
I discovered
when I
that,
wanted
lo
to
and
lose
behold,
weight.
on average, I'd been losing 85 grams a day, which got me thinking. In fact, it got me very curious about this question that I've since discovered most people have no clue about. In fact, they've never even thought about this. And to prove my point, I made a little video on Bondi Beach. And the question was this: when somebody loses weight, where does it go?
Well, now
What does
you
it
guys
become?
can answer that one.
How does it get out of your body? You're probably dumbstruck by the question. These people were, so listen to this.
Where does it go? Where does the weight go?
Where does it go? Well, I don't know. I don't know.
That I don't know.
I don't have an answer for that. These are the mysteries of science. I have no idea.
Well, I'd like to say
The mysteries of
The
science.
ether.
That's what you say about anything you don't know.
The universe
Another dimension.
doesn't go anywhere.
The feel is that it comes over to me.
Becomes nothing,
Doesn't exist anymore.
I guess.
That's a very good question.
Good question.
What a fascinating question.
What would you say?
It goes right in the crapper, mate.
Sweat
Moisture.
and sweat.
Evaporates.
Evaporate.
To their ass.
Ends up at Bondi Beach.
That's where it goes.
Well, basically, you burn it up as energy.
You burn it as energy?
Heat energy.
Burnt.
In energy.
Burn it as energy?
Heat. Oh,
I don't know. Yeah,
you got me there.
I'm not quite sure.
So what the heck is going on? We're in the middle of an obesity epidemic. I don't need to tell you about it. So why don't these people know?
Real quick, guys. How many of you guys are not United States people? Is the obesity epidemic a thing in other countries? Do you guys know? I mean, I know it's a United States thing. I wasn't sure if like other countries were actually struggling with that though.
Know the answer to this fundamental question because not one of them was right, and we do know the answer. This is not groundbreaking stuff I'm about to tell you. So let me just remind you of a few things you do know. What's the chemical formula for water? H2O. Chemical formula for carbon dioxide? You all know.
Wait, Mystery, you're joking, right? There's no way the UK passed us for obesity. If that's true, then like I don't know if I can
Alice?
believe that.
Right, so you know what human fat is made of. So what is the chemical formula for human fat? There is such a thing, believe it or not. It's been known since the 60s. It's C55H1O4O6.
This is who I stole all the math from.
That's the chemical formula for the average fat molecule in a human body. Some of the molecules might have a few more carbon atoms and a few more hydrogens. Some might have less. They all have just 6 oxygen atoms. That's very important and helpful for later. But this is the average fat molecule, C55H1O4O6. So let's be very clear about this. The difference between that and that is...
I don't know why it's so funny, but I feel like when I'm looking at this, I feel like I'm looking at like a...
So let's be very clear about this. The difference
I
between
feel like I'm
that...
looking at a face. Do you guys see it? The 2 eyes and the mouth? And it's just a just ah.
And that is C55H104O6. I kid you not. And the difference between that and that, same thing.
Damn.
C55H104O6.
Curves.
So
We love
how
curves.
does this stuff get out of a human body? Well, here's the general equation. Looks pretty sort of interesting, slightly complicated. Not if you've done some year 10 chemistry, surely. This is year 10 chemistry, although, well, it's not really, but here's what it says. Fat plus oxygen gives you carbon dioxide.
Wait a second. Are ads rolling or is Twitch lying to me right now? Actually, I think Rax would not see the ads. Go Rax. Love me some subscriber support. But I think ads are rolling. I'm not sure if that affects anyone. I'm looking just off to the side at my phone, which I watch my own stream. And I'm not seeing ads play on my phone. So I'm wondering if that's just because it's a phone, or if ads are not actually playing. We'll just chill for a minute though. But anyway, how did you guys feel about this though? Is this like an interesting enough topic to talk about? Maybe it is interesting and I'm just a bad talker about this, because I feel like I could not explain this as well as I thought I could. Or I did not do as good of a job teaching about this as I maybe did about teaching about some of the other stuff. But yeah. What do you mean by the US cannot be second place though, Mystery? Does that mean we would only be first or third? Is the US third for obesity? I don't know who would be second then. But I can't imagine that the UK has us beat. How unhealthy do you have to be more obese than America? Oh. Than the United States? Maybe it's just that all our obese people died from COVID. It looks like we are yeah, I mean, I think the US is probably first. I think nowhere else do you really find like 600-pound people, 1,000-pound people. Is that there are like 1,000-pound people, right? I know there are like 600. God, what a terrible existence that sounds like. Yeah, first place, Mystery. First place for fattiness. Just like your mom. Just like your... in fact, she's probably the reason we're first place for fattiness, Mystery. She's the reason. Your mom is who puts us on the map. Not just for average weight, but also she puts us on the map because she adds so much land mass. We thought our biggest state was Alaska, but we realized it's actually your mom. Sorry, she's a nice woman. People tend to be nicer when they eat as well as she does.
Dioxide and water. That's what it becomes. And this biochemists have known this for ages. You inhale that, you exhale that, that's what happens to it. Amazing. Now, that little arrow there is kind of oversimplifying something called biochemistry. That's 3 years at university. And my apologies to the biochemists. I don't mean to oversimplify, but I'm trying to get to the crunch. It's really complicated. It doesn't just come out of you.
It's really
for no
complicated,
reason. You've got to
promise,
do stuff.
guys.
Eat less, move more. We'll come to that in a minute. But look, when you want to lose weight, you want to lose kilograms. That's all kilograms, all that stuff there. So what do people say? Heat. It burns up as energy, because that's what we've been telling them all this time. And it's very confusing because energy has different units, kilojoules, or you might use calories. And yes, that's heat, that's motion when you move, or it's thinking. Your brain needs energy, or it's growing.
You have a plan, Mystery?
But that's not where the fat goes. So what are we talking about here? Well, let me just show you a couple more things. So I've got some carbon dioxide here in its frozen form. We call it dry ice. It's carbon dioxide. It has mass. Thing is, you're not used to seeing it. But here's some dry ice. And it's heavy. And if you put it in water, lo and behold, it does this cool thing and bubbles. Like, you've all seen that before. Well, that's carbon dioxide and water. That's what fat is kind of made out of. But it's not fat. I'm not making fat. That is not fat. So how does that become fat? Well, it doesn't just like that. It becomes sugar first. Plants make fat. Well, they start the whole thing. A plant takes 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water, uses an amazing chemical called chlorophyll, holds them together, and then sunlight comes in and it binds those molecules together and it becomes sugar. C6H12O6 is glucose. Fructose, same formula, C6H12O6. Sucrose is glucose plus fructose stuck together minus an H2O molecule, so it's, do the maths, C12H22O5. Right, well, here's some.
I'm so glad that even when you're like a super professional speaking and doing science, you still have those same moments as me of like, oh, I need to make sure that my math is right. I need to think about it. Simple addition. The little hamster in my brain is processing it. Oh yeah, that's right.
Done. This is sucrose. Plants make it. And it's this stuff joined together. It's now got chemical energy holding these molecules together so they don't just fly around like that. And by the way, if you drink that, 600 ml of lemon-flavoured soft drink, you'll get 17 teaspoons of this stuff are in there. I'll just quickly show you what that looks like. Here's 1, 2, 3,
God, I hate seeing
4,
this so much
5,
because
6, 7,
I love soda.
8, 9,
I love
10,
soda.
11,
and
12,
seeing
13,
how
14,
disgustingly
15,
sugar-filled it
16,
is makes me
17.
feel
Right.
so gross.
So if you drink
I feel
that, it's the equivalent of doing
I
what
need
I
to
just
quit.
did with a spoon, except munching it all down. Exactly the
Ugh.
same, no difference.
Ugh.
So if you do that, then what happens? Well, let me explain something else that I've been telling kids for a little while, and they get this. So when
They're a
you
little
eat
heat-
food, it's
yeah,
not
I mean,
in your body straight away.
that's what soda
if you swallow
is.
that sugar, it's not in you yet. So here's a pool noodle, right? It's got a hole running through it, and here's an almond. And if I put the almond in there, it can go all the
Almond.
way through and out the other
Almond.
end. Whoop-de-doo. Here's another almond. If I put an
Here's
almond
an
in
almond.
here, where's the almond? You would say the almond's in the pool noodle. Okay, but is it in the foam that the pool noodle is made of? No, of course not. It's just in the hole that runs through it. That's food. You swallow food, it's not in you. It's in the hole that runs from here to the back door. And getting food into you is called digestion. So with this stuff, you've got to break the bond that's holding the fructose to the glucose. And as soon as you do that, then that stuff can cross the barrier, your internal skin, and into your body, and then it can go around in your blood. That's digestion. But now it's not metabolism yet. It's got to go into your cells, and then you've got to burn it up. And if you don't burn it up, if you eat all that sugar after you've had your 3 meals in the day, your body doesn't waste it, doesn't come out here. The stuff that comes out the back door was never in you. Apart from a few molecules of cholesterol, it's just fibre.
It was never in you guys.
Plus the
The poop
bacteria
was
that
never
live in
in
your gut,
you.
you lose about 500 billion of those in one single sitting. They're tiny. That's many times the population of the Earth every time you flush the toilet. It's amazing. But that stuff was never really in you. So here's what happens. If you don't then metabolize that sugar...
The poop was never in me, by the way. because idols don't poop. Oh, we got a ban. Sari got one.
Well, then it's going to get converted into the stuff that we all have a problem with, fat. Now, I better just prove that you do breathe this stuff out, right? If you metabolize sugar, you turn it back into carbon dioxide and water. So, every time you exhale, out comes a bit of carbon dioxide. You can't see it. This is the problem. This is why people don't know how you lose weight. So there you go. I've trapped some breath. I've inhaled that. 5% of the air in there is now carbon dioxide because it's come out of my lungs. I've got some liquid nitrogen here. And I'm
I
going
don't
to
understand
use
how
that
he
to
keeps all his
freeze
stuff
this
so
air.
cold. How did he
Liquid
have
nitrogen's minus
the-
196. It's very handy.
the dry ice?
Where did it's right there.
How did he keep the dry ice still cold?
In fact, I'll just pour it
It was
straight
just
on.
sitting there on
so
the
be a
table.
little bit careful with this stuff. I use it all the time. If I look a little blasé, I don't mean to. Please respect this stuff if you play with it the way you would respect boiling hot water. Now, if you pour it onto a balloon, the balloon does not pop, which is incredible. The nitrogen's
feel like it
minus
should shatter,
196. Oxygen turns into a liquid at minus 183. So the oxygen in the balloon is turning into liquid. Carbon dioxide turns solid. I've got a big bowl of it there. But it turns solid at minus 78. So in the balloon now, I have I have liquefied oxygen and frozen carbon dioxide. And when I take it out, you'll see them. So, it'll just take a while for the balloon to go a little bit clear at the top. The nitrogen in here, air is 79% nitrogen. The nitrogen is in the top of the balloon. But now, look at that liquid
It's
down
really
there. Can you see
interesting
that?
seeing how small it
That's
got.
the oxygen from my
It was
breath
just
that
cold.
I hadn't used. But once it's all gone,
Have a good night,
there'll
Sapo
be some
boy.
white powder left. Right, the white powder is breakfast. That's the carbon dioxide, the carbon atoms I ate in the last 24 hours. And when I blow on them, they get warm enough to turn back into gas. And they vanish. And people think there's nothing in the balloon. The balloon has mass. Those atoms have mass. You can see carbon
It's
dioxide
pretty
has
interesting
mass when
to
you
see about.
solidify it. But when
see
you breathe it out,
because you don't really
see
think about it, right?
And we've been confusing people by talking about kilojoules or calories. And they're really important. But people do not seem to understand that when you lose weight, you're losing atoms. You can't just turn atoms into nothing. In fact, science teachers out there, you need to change the way you teach chemistry because those people, and many in this room, think that you can turn atoms into energy. Well, it's one of the founding principles of modern chemistry. You cannot turn an atom into pure energy. It's called the conservation of mass. Before a reaction and after a reaction, we teach kids you've got to have the same number of atoms. It's called stoichiometry. Well, we haven't been teaching it very well at all because people
Stoichiometry.
think you can turn fat,
I love
which is
his accent,
kilograms,
by the
into
way.
nothing or just kilojoules. Can't do it. So here was my big fat question. I'm a physicist. I knew that bit. But my question was, if I've got 10 kilograms of this stuff, then how much carbon dioxide does that become? And how much water? And it turns out that that's really simple too. This is year 10 chemistry and year 10 maths. You need the periodic table of elements. You have to look up hydrogen, carbon and oxygen. There they are. Now, the periodic table has some important information on it. The weight of a single atom of these elements. So the weight of a single atom of carbon is 0.011 atomic mass units. Doesn't matter what they are in kilograms just yet. I'll show you why in a minute. We've got 55 of those in an average fat molecule, so there's 660.59. What about the hydrogen? Okay, there's 104 of those. So we have, in one molecule of fat, 104.83 atomic mass units. Okay, great. The oxygen's a little...
Did you guys hear the clear? Well, Perry, you missed. To be honest, you missed the lesson. But we're watching the TED Talk that the lesson was, for the most part, based around right now, which I think is still interesting stuff. But did you guys hear the drastic change in voice as he
What about
voiced over? I guess during the actual TED Talk he must have said the wrong number, so he in this edit he just voiced over the correct number.
Okay, there's 104 of those. So we have, in one molecule of fat, 104.83 atomic mass units. Okay, great. The oxygen's a little
Me when I'm
trickier.
correcting
this
myself.
stumped me for quite some time. In fact,
I
I
can
rang
talk about it
around and I
after,
couldn't get
Perry.
a very clear answer on this because it doesn't seem that many biochemists
Some
have thought
interesting
about it
stuff.
this way. That's not because they're silly or whatever. They just haven't thought about it in this way, which really surprised me. because this bit of information is the most motivating bit of information I had in my personal little journey of losing 17 kilograms in 6 months. It's all gone. Breathe it out. Amazing. Anyone can do this. It's not hard. So how much carbon dioxide and water?
I feel like it's
the
sort of
oxygen's
condescending
important.
to say
There's
it's
6
not hard.
atoms of it in a molecule. But what
It's
are they going
not
to become? Are they
hard
going to go
to
out as
lose the
carbon
weight.
dioxide, or are they going to go as water, or are they going some ratio of the two? How do you figure this out? Took me ages, and then the answer turned up in a very old paper from the 1940s where they'd taken water, labelled the oxygen atoms, made them put an isotope of oxygen onto those, and oxygen 18, gave it to mice. The mice had it go in their belly, but then it came out in their breath. So water had the oxygen in it, but then that oxygen turned up in the exhaled breath, which showed that oxygen atoms are exchanged between carbon dioxide molecules and water molecules. There's a really good reason for that. Here's some phenolphthalein in water.
I think it's crazy that we can like
it's a bit hard
track
to pronounce.
individual like
It's gone a bit
atoms.
murky because I've left it sit. But look, if you blow in here,
It got so bright.
changes colour. Great, whoop-de-doo. What does it show you? It shows you that carbon dioxide dissolves in water,
Whoop-de-doo.
forms carbonic acid. There's an exchange of oxygen atoms. So what this told me is that the way these 6 atoms are going to leave your body is in the same ratio that they exist in the molecules. So that's at 2-to-1 ratio. So that means 4 will go out as carbon dioxide and 2 will go out as water.
I didn't really
That's
follow
great. Now
the
I know
logic
the
here,
answer. So
though,
now you
on
do the
the- on the
maths. So we've got the
ratios.
first 2 answers.
Right.
I'm going to add to the carbons the weight of 4 of these oxygen atoms. They're going to go out with carbon. So I'll chuck that up there. And I've got 2 to go, so 2 times that, there we go, chuck that with the hydrogens, because they're going to go out with some hydrogen. And now I can figure out the ratio of carbon dioxide and water from my fat. So there's the totals, and now we just got to divide it by the total, and you get 84% will go out as carbon dioxide and 16% will go out as water. So here's the answer then to my big fat question. 84% of fat is exhaled, 16% is excreted as water somehow. It can be in your urine, in your feces, sweat.
Yeah.
That means that 10 kilograms of fat becomes 8.4 kilograms of invisible gas that you breathe out. That's amazing. Every time you're doing some exercise
Breathe it
and your
out.
breathing rate goes up, you're losing more weight than when you're sitting down and not breathing as rapidly. And 1.6 kilograms will come out as water. Now, we don't know if that comes out in your poo or in your wee or in your sweat or in your tears because you cry a lot. Who knows?
I cry a lot.
But now
Only
I've got
at
some
night,
frequently
only crying
asked questions
myself
that
to
I need
sleep.
to answer because there's lots of them. Well, there's 3 main ones. 1, can I just sit around and breathe more? Everyone asks me straight away. Well, you can sit around and breathe more, but it's called hyperventilation. You've got to coax the C55 H1O4O6 out of the fat cells.
No
they're
one
called
can
the
tell
adipocytes.
there,
And to do
mystery.
it, biochemistry, mate, it's
'Cause
amazing
no one wants to
what
watch
really
you in the
goes on.
shower.
It's a long story, but you need to get them out by, first of all, moving more or eating less. You've got to sort of starve yourself of energy so that you start turning these big molecules of fat. They get broken into 3 fatty acids each. They're called a triglyceride, but they have to be broken apart before they can come out of the cells, the hidey holes that they live in your bingo wings or your double chins or your butts or your muffin tops or wherever it is.
What are bingo wings?
It's hanging around.
Guys, what are bingo wings? Are bingo wings like a thing? Are bingo wings like fat arms? Is that what bingo wings are? I mean, I know what a muffin top is and a double chin. I've actually never heard bingo wing before.
There. It's not going to come out until this hormone breaks them apart into its fatty acids. It goes into your bloodstream, and then you can oxidize them. Beta oxidation, big long story, really complicated. Amazing that we know it. But FAQ number 2 is: does weight loss cause
it is
climate
fat
change?
arms.
Well, this is another really disturbing little thing because it means people don't understand climate change. They just don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't even think that. But people think, so why doesn't it cause climate change? Because food was made by plants just in the last couple of years. And the way it did it was it took sunlight and glued water to carbon dioxide. When you eat, the energy is sunlight. It was put there by the sun. If I wasn't, well, I'm not a hippie, but I just about am because I think that this is amazing. You eat sunlight. That's the energy that you get. But it's modern sunlight. When you burn fossil fuels, that's ancient sunlight. It's locked up in the ground as carbon in wood, dead wood, ancient fossilised coal. And oil is ancient, dead, fossilised critters that lived in the sea, that photosynthesised, that died, that got buried, that eventually turned into oil. This does not cause climate change. And the fact that people don't know that means we need to teach them more about climate change. No wonder there are so many myths about both these things. There are myths about weight loss. There are so many diet gurus out there. Mate, if they didn't know this, are you going to trust anything else they have to say to you? No. Hopefully not. Stop buying their books, their pills, their rubbish. Why did you not know this until today? I don't know the answer. But it certainly makes me
interesting
very,
how so
very
many
sceptical
different people
about any
have
health claim that anyone makes who's supposedly
plans
a
for
guru.
how to lose weight.
The third question that I don't get asked but I should get asked, that I don't get asked at all, except a biochemist would be sitting there wondering it right now. Did you take into account ketosis? And no, not really. I did not. Ketosis is when you starve yourself of carbohydrates, when there's no glucose in your blood. And you can do this thing called ketogenesis. Your liver does it and can convert fat molecules into ketone bodies. Acetone is one of them. You go to a nail shop, get your nail polish removed, acetone, right? Your body makes that stuff. But you don't want to make it in huge quantities because you'll go into acidosis. So I'm not going to comment on whether or not eating low-protein diets is a good idea because I'm not an expert on that. I would say that I'd be careful because it's linked to depression apparently in some papers. I don't know. I'm not making any health claims about low-protein diets. What I'm saying,
I think ketosis
is that this
means
is very simple. If you just do what I did and what lots and lots and lots of other people, I don't want to meddle. It's easy. All you have to do to lose weight is turn it into carbon dioxide and water. And to do that, all you have to do is eat less, move more, and keep breathing. Thank you.
He's such a good speaker. All these TED Talk people always somehow manage to be such great speakers. But oh yeah, Perry, everything on Earth, the energy is from the sun, really. How do you build muscle, Mystery? I mean, you build muscle by eating protein and working out, I think. I think that's literally all there is to building muscle. It's eat protein, work out, and I think you do need to like have enough calories to support muscle growth, because otherwise you're going to be like, if your body's too starved, it's not going to make muscle. But lift heavy things and eat properly. Yeah, I mean, everything's so easy. You just eat properly. So easy. That's why everyone looks like beautiful models. Yeah, I mean, I guess, Perry, but when you think about it, like, these people are... These are like science people. Do you feel like science people are generally good people? I mean, look at me. I'm not a good speaker. I'm a, like, okay speaker, right? But, I don't know. Tonight I think I'm probably a bad speaker, but... You look like Jabba the Hutt? Same. But anyway, what we were talking about, Perry, was, like, more or less the same things he was talking about, in that when you burn fat, what actually happens to it is it turns into carbon dioxide and water in a combustion reaction. So like the masses, you like breathe it out, which is crazy, right? Where do the trees get their mass? Interesting. I mean, do the trees also do the trees get their mass from CO2? Is that literally where they get their mass? That actually sounds very plausible. Yeah, that interesting. But yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. It's the opposite of us, right? We lose our mass by breathing it out, and they gain their mass by breathing it in. Which brings us to, I had seen that video, that TED Talk, like 8 or 10 years ago, right? Whenever it was close to release. But when I was like doing prep for the lesson today, I saw this video, and he did a follow-up TED Talk, which I think is really also pretty interesting. Which I think is very along the same lines of like, where does the mass come from? Where does it go? Where does it come from?
About
Cotton
7
Eye
years
Joe?
ago, I saw this photo of myself and decided that I had to do something about this thing. So I ate less food, moved around a bit more, and lo and behold, this happened. I lost...
I do want to say, chat, he looks happier when he was fat. I feel like the right face is like... I feel like that might be a serial killer.
16 kilograms. And you're probably wondering, how did he do it? But I was wondering, where did the 16 kilograms go? And I've been infatuated with this question ever since. I ended up publishing a paper about it in the British Medical Journal. Very brief paper, 850 words, 2 figures. And then I published a book about it, which was no bestseller because it ended up telling you that you had to eat less and move more to lose weight, and no one wants to hear that.
What a surprise.
But it is now a first-year subject at the University of New South Wales. And so I better explain that I did not figure out where fat goes when you lose weight. That was done a long time ago. In fact, here's some timeposts for you. When Captain Cook sailed past Bundaberg in 1770, we did not know what happens to fat when you lose weight. But when the first fleet sailed into Sydney Cove, we did know the answer. And it was all figured out by this bloke in between. His name's Antoine Lavoisier. He figured out that respiration is a combustion.
Why
you
French
turn food
people's
into
names so
carbon
crazy?
dioxide and water. And in the process, nothing is lost.
That's
Nothing
why
is
you're-
created, everything is just transformed.
You're Perry
And
the
so
Hut.
what did I do? Well, when I lost weight and I first thought about this, I was so infatuated, I wanted to know, if I lose 10 kilos, where does the 10 kilos go precisely? And it took me months to figure this out, but it turns out that when you lose weight, 8.4 kilos out of every 10 comes out of your lungs. Which I think is the best fact I've ever heard. So I gave and you've got to add oxygen to do this, so you can't do it like that. It takes a while. So I gave a talk about this at TEDxQUT a long time ago now, and then I did a story for ABC TV Catalyst, and I met this fella, Professor Andrew Brown, who teaches biochemistry, and I showed him my calculations, and he said, that's pretty interesting, let's try and get that published. And so he helped me get it into the British Medical Journal. And the other thing we did was we surveyed 150 doctors, dietitians and personal trainers and asked them what they thought.
Wait, let's look at how many people are wrong here. Guys, I want you to understand that biggest column on the left there. The people who believe that the mass turns into energy. It's like family doctors, dietitians, personal trainers. Actually, I guess not. Personal trainers surprisingly did the best here, but more than 50% of all these people who ended up being doctors thought that that mass just poofed into energy. Which, I mean, I don't feel like it's necessarily fair to laugh at them for being stupid, but I think it's cool to know that, like, you know, everyone has stuff to learn,
And
even the
here's
smart
thing.
people.
What they think happens is impossible. You can't turn fat into energy because it's made of atoms. And you would need antimatter atoms to annihilate them. So that's literally impossible. And since then, I've realised, well, hang on, this is part of a much bigger gap in health literacy. I've asked literally thousands of kids this question. When you breathe in, what are you inhaling? Oxygen. And what are you exhaling? Carbon dioxide. What they don't realise is that they're breathing in atoms, and 2 go in, but 3 come out. And it's this atom here that is the gap in health literacy. It's also the secret to weight loss because it means that your exhaled breath is heavier than your inhaled breath. And when you ask around, so few people know this. Well, have a listen to these people.
What's the gas that you're inhaling out of the air that's keeping you alive called?
Oxygen. Oxygen.
And what's the gas you breathe out because you're alive?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide.
Yep. Now, third question. Where do the carbon atoms in the carbon dioxide come from?
Oh. I don't know.
No idea.
I've got no idea.
Wouldn't have a clue, mate.
Ooh.
Wow, good question.
I should have concentrated more on chemistry. Like, where do carbon atoms come from, or pollution, or fumes, gas, cars and stuff? I don't know.
Yeah, vehicles.
Don't know. Cow poop. Should know, but don't know. All right, so to be somewhere in the body, right?
Out of my lungs.
You don't need to know how it works if the result is desired. I think that's sort of true, but I do think it's nice for people to not have sort of blatant misconceptions about the science, right?
My lungs?
Because at a
From the
certain point, it's just
environment?
like
From your blood
what you believe is
From living
misinformation.
things, maybe from the blood, from plants,
My chemistry days are over. I've got nothing.
from the food we eat.
You nailed it. You got there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you eat it?
Yeah.
We eat it? From what?
Have you heard of carbohydrates?
Yes. Oh, yeah?
What do you reckon the carbo bit means?
Carbon dioxide. Probably carbon dioxide. There's a connection somewhere. Like carbon and hydrogen and oxygen together.
Oh, also, I guess the other thing is, like, he was talking about health literacy. I do think, if you have good understanding, it can really put things in perspective for you, which I think he does go into more later in this video.
Yes.
Carbohydrate, yeah.
It's got the same word.
Never thought it's CHO, so it's carbon, hydrogen. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. What do you do for a crust?
I'm a PDHPE teacher.
This is not a gap in health literacy. This is a gaping black hole in health literacy. And the amazing thing is we supposedly learned all this stuff at school. We learned all the dots, but no one ever teaches you how to connect them. So the word carbohydrates is the big clue, and that's because it stands for carbon atoms that have been hydrated by, well, if you're dehydrated, you need to drink water. And water has a chemical formula which stands for a bunch of atoms.
He makes
so
it
where do
sound
these
so simple, but
carbohydrates
this
that
is
you eat come from? I mean,
no one
what is
just
this
thinks
stuff?
of
And
this,
it all
right?
starts in plants. So step one in making carbohydrates is plants suck water out of the soil. They take the water molecules, stick it into a molecule called chlorophyll you've all heard of. It takes a photon of sunlight to zap that bond and zap that bond, and now we have the atoms free. You do that twice and you've got enough atoms now to make an oxygen molecule, which is the waste product of photosynthesis. And by the way, you breathe that stuff. So every oxygen molecule you inhale came from 2 water molecules. Step 2 is to take carbon dioxide out of the air into the leaf and into a chemical process which is called the Calvin cycle.
So fancy.
And if you get 6 carbon atoms and stick them together, you can make glucose, which is the most important carbohydrate in the cosmos. If you rearrange those atoms, then you can make fructose, which is what sugarcane does, which I have a stalk of over there. And if you
I
stick
wish
it
I
in
could
sunlight,
make such
it will
clean
turn carbon
diagrams
dioxide and water into
little
sugar.
teaching
If you stick
assistant
glucose
aids.
to fructose, you get table sugar. And if you stick galactose to glucose, you get another famous...
Also, Galactose sounds like a superhero name. I feel like that has to be a superhero name, Galactose. But like, yeah, this guy's just talking about it like, oh yeah, you know, galactose is in your sugar. It's in whatever you're eating. If some server comes to me and like, hey, here's your freshly served dessert made with fresh galactose, like, how are you gonna feel? I feel like that's like, oh, I guess I'm getting superpowers now.
disaccharide, it's called lactose. If you're lactose intolerant, you can't break the bonds between this oxygen atom and its neighbours. So all of this stuff is pretty understandable if you know about atoms, and it all starts in plants. But you don't just eat carbohydrates. So here's everything that you eat, all the macronutrients. We've
there's
looked
so
at
many.
carbs. Here's fats, the three most common fatty acids in nature. Palmitic acid gets its name from palm oil, oleic from olive oil. There's only 3 atoms there though, 3 kinds, 3 elements. And if you stick those 3 fatty acids to a glycerine molecule, you'll make a triglyceride. This is what olive oil is, this is what every fat in nature is. It's the fat in your fat cells that you want to lose if you're trying to lose weight. And when you burn it, what you're really doing is turning it into carbon dioxide and water. You call it metabolism. People say they're burning fat. It means you're turning it into carbon dioxide and water. And there's 2 ways to do it. The main highway is called the beta oxidation pathway, but there's another way called the ketogenic pathway, and the low carb people will be all over this. It's taking fatty acids and turning them into smaller molecules, acetoacetate, which can then be turned into acetone, and beta hydroxybutyrate. But the point is, you still add oxygen and it still turns into carbon dioxide and water. So it doesn't matter what kind of diet you're on. If you're burning fat, you're turning it into CO2 and H2O. And alcohol is made of the same 3 atoms. Protein is an interesting one. It's made out of 20 kinds of amino acids, but there's only 2 more kinds of atoms. So for all their complexity, there's only 5 elements. And if you eat them, well, let's take a look. Because to make a human, you need those 20 amino acids. All the protein in nature is made out of these 20 amino acids. A baby, a human, is 60% water, 16% protein, 19% fat, and 5% bit of other stuff. And when you burn protein, if you eat a lot of it, you can't store it, so you'll burn it and you'll turn it into carbon dioxide and water, a bit of urea and some sulfate. Those 2 things will end up in the toilet via your bladder, and now you know where everything that you eat goes. You might be wondering though, I'm eating carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. What's all this talk about diets? Well, amazingly, this junk diet is also made of nothing but carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, but you're not getting many vitamins and minerals. So let's take a look at those. Here's all 14 vitamins and vitamins that you need to eat. If you don't eat them, you'll get scurvy, beriberi, rickets, you'll go blind. But the amazing thing is, per day, you only need about half a gram of this stuff. The 14 elements that you have to take, we call them minerals. Here they are. These are the recommended daily intakes. And if you stick all that together, it's 7 grams worth of stuff. It's not very much. That's why we call them micronutrients. So when I tell people this, the first question I get asked is, so what, I just have to breathe more? And they'll start hyperventilating. So let's talk about breathing. Talk to anyone who works in an ICU unit and they'll tell you that a human who's lying perfectly still needs 3.5 mils of oxygen and 2.6 to 2.9 millilitres of CO2 will come out of them per kilogram of that person. Now, I weigh 72 kilos, so that means I need about 252 millilitres of oxygen just to stay alive. That's 15 litres per hour. And over here, I have an hour's worth of breathing. This is how much air I have to breathe just to get that 1 balloon of oxygen into my bloodstream. A balloon is about 15 litres. So that's how much oxygen I need per hour just to stay awake and alive. Not awake, sorry, I mean alive. It's my resting metabolic rate. And in that hour, when I breathe all this air back out again, it'll have a balloon worth of CO2 in it. And these numbers just get better and better and better. If you add up all the carbon atoms in that much CO2, it's 136 to 151 grams a day of just carbon. It's about 1 kilo a week. It's about 49 to 55 kilos a year. If you want to lose weight, don't eat that much carbon back in. That's the whole key to breathing yourself thin.
So see, this is where I think it could be like useful to people, right? Because I feel like this really puts it into perspective where when you're thinking about like, oh, you know, a calorie is whatever, right? You're like, I just need to avoid calories, but you're like, you don't really process it like when you're thinking of like what you're eating. But to say like, eat less carbon, I feel like is much more imaginable in your brain, and you can very quickly realize like, oh, I mean, there's actual mass here that I need to eat less of.
Doctors will If you are not breathing, they will monitor your breathing. If you're having an operation, the anaesthetist will look for your breaths. This is how much CO2 there should be in your breath. If you hyperventilate, your body is not producing more CO2, you're just breathing out more than you need to. And so this will happen. You're pumping out...
Wait, why did you say did YouTube get angry? Did something happen, Mystery? Well, Max, I mean, that's sort of like what you are doing, right? Whenever you eat chicken, you know, carbon-based life form. Vegetables too. My stream was down? Oh, I'm sorry, Mystery. I hope it wasn't down for that long.
More than you're making, the amount in your body will go down. It's called hypocapnia. It will lead to a loss of consciousness if you do it for too long. And some people ask me, what about people who have COPD or emphysema? Could they get overweight because they can't get rid of enough CO2? Well, they can't do the Calvin cycle. A plant can. So you can't turn the CO2 that you're not breathing out back into fat. It's impossible. So, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions about this business. Now, it takes a while to breathe out the carbon that you eat. So let's have a look at how much carbon you can put in really quickly. I quite like this stuff, and there is a lot of sugar in lemon-flavoured soft drink. It's one of the highest. So how much sugar are we talking about? It's, well, one stick is 3 grams, so there's 23 1/3 of a stick in there, which looks like this. And if you want to turn that much sugar into carbon dioxide and water, well, it's going to take a while. You're going to need to breathe in that much oxygen. You'll make that much CO2. How much is that? It's 4 balloons worth. And it's 4 balloons worth of CO2. So how long is it going to take me to breathe out that much carbon? It's going to take me 4 hours because I only breathe out 1 balloon of carbon dioxide per hour if I stay still. But if I go for a walk, I'll breathe it out in an hour. If I run, it'll only take me 30 minutes. That's why they say eat less, move more, because when you're moving more, you're breathing more, and there's always CO2 in your breath.
It's super
what about if we compare it to something that's a bit healthier? Because this has got vitamins and amino acids and all the good stuff in it. But if we take those ingredients and we chuck it into the equation for food, then you discover that actually it's 4 hours as well. And so is this tuna salad sandwich on organic wholemeal bread grown on the north side of the hill, blessed by a monk, all the things. But it's still 4 hours of breathing, right? So the point is, they're not equivalent in how healthy they are, but they are equivalent in how long they take to exhale. An apple takes an hour, a fun-sized chocolate bar 1 hour and 10 minutes, a regular size 3.5 hours, and a king size 5 1/4. If you're trying to lose weight, don't drink soft drink because that's got carbon atoms in it. Drink water. If you like this stuff, and who doesn't, a large coffee and a piece of cake, that's 10 hours of breathing between breakfast and lunch. So be careful. A large, lovely burger like this, guys.
Like, have you guys ever, like, thought about it in this way? Like, every item that you eat is like literal time to burn off. I think this is like a super interesting way to think about it.
7 hours, have a large fries with it, 13 hours. Large drink, 16 hours. Bang in a large sundae. It's a whole day worth of breathing. You can see why there's an obesity epidemic, but no one knows what really is going on in their body. So usually we talk about calories in, calories out. How's this information going to help you? Well, I would like to talk about atoms in, atoms out. And when you're counting calories, you're actually counting carbon atoms because the energy in food is wherever you see a carbon and a hydrogen atom stuck together. And it's in all food. So and it's sunlight that put that there. So my project that I really want to get up and running here in Bundaberg is let's teach your children this, and you can do it. Little kids love learning about atoms. Adults freak out at the idea. But little kids absolutely love it. This is Ithaca Creek State School in Brisbane. This is a school in India, and these kids are they're making amino acids and they're sticking them together to build a protein. You can do that with this amazing resource that my friend Ian Stewart invented. They're called sticky atoms. He's a retired physics and chemistry teacher. He taught in Brisbane. they have magnetic bonds. So 3-year-olds, even younger, can play with these things and learn about atoms. And
Toys are
for
so
the
cool
educators in
nowadays.
the room, they conform to the concrete pictorial abstract way of teaching. It's fantastic pedagogy. And Ian and I are hoping to work together. We took this out backstage just moments ago. Because what we want to do is teach children what's actually going on in their bodies. And you can't do that if you're not talking about the atoms that they're made of. Unfortunately, the curriculum does not introduce the concept of atoms and molecules until kids are in grade 9, and they don't see the periodic table until they're in grade 10. Why? Because a fellow called Jean Piaget, who was kind of a contemporary of Freud, he thought that kids can't have these abstract thoughts until they're about 14.
It's so silly.
We don't use
Kids are
Freud's
so smart.
psychology anymore. We still learn it, but we don't use it. But our curriculum is still under the spell of a person who died long ago, whose ideas about education were, well, someone had to have those ideas, but they were wrong. So I hope to see what happens. If kids grow up with this knowledge, in 10 years, what do obesity rates look like in a town like Bundaberg if all the children learn this at primary school? Will they grow up to accept the advice that to lose weight, just eat less, move more, and keep breathing? Thank you.
I mean, I sort of get it, right? Because, like, Freud has some, interesting ideas. But yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that. I guess if I, do review content of YouTube videos, it, like, ends up suspending my YouTube stream, which that's pretty annoying. I hope that Mystery did not suffer too much. Maybe Mystery just left because rest in peace, YouTube stream. But yeah, I felt like today was, pretty short, not that nuanced lesson, but somehow, I feel like it's played out. I mean, I guess we watched 2 relatively long YouTube videos, but somehow we're already close to our 2-hour mark. If the stream may be taken down? Wait, what do you mean if the stream may be taken down? Is Twitch gonna take down my stream? I also wonder what happens to my YouTube VOD. Does my YouTube VOD die? Because, I mean, I normally rely on YouTube mainly to hold on to my VODs, just because I record them, but I don't make a habit of uploading them. So I might have to see about manually uploading this one in case the VOD doesn't go up and anyone wants to watch it after the fact. I hope not, though. Maybe I'll just upload the VOD without the TED Talks, which kind of sucks because I feel like if I upload just the lesson-y lesson, the Krita stuff, it's maybe not that well polished. And I definitely don't feel like this was one of my finest hours in terms of teaching. But, not everyone has great days all the time. I hope, though, that, you guys found it at least a little interesting. Or learned a little bit. And my my YouTube stream does seem to be back up now. I wonder how long you have to... How it determines when to turn on or off the YouTube killing. Because that sort of sucks. I don't want to, like, be, like, you know, skirting the rules, but I sort of wish there was a way to skirt the rules. You learned a lot? I'm glad, Rax. I'm glad because I can never tell if I'm just basically preaching to the choir on stuff that people already know. Because I feel like if people are watching me, they're already, like, you know, at least a little bit STEM people. So, if they're already STEM people, then, you know, what I have to say might not be news to them, right? They might be like, yeah, I already learned this. I don't need this knowledge. You're just telling me things I already know. I'm gonna go watch someone else, which I guess is also reasonable, right? But I do hope that I can impart new knowledge onto people, and I can educate people who are maybe not that, you know, educated or STEM oriented. What is that on the monitor to the left? Oh, on my stream? That's a Discord. That's Shy Lily's Discord. You're talking about for my background, right? Hold on, I think it was Shy Lily. I'm pretty sure it was Shy Lily's. Let me quickly look closely. Yeah. Unless you're talking about, like, the gears. The gears are like a... That's... Cameo? Or maybe it was SolidWorks. I don't know. Basically, what I did was I took screenshots. I took screenshots of things that I would have on my computer, and then I put them into the... into Krita and fitted them onto the monitors when I made my background. On the monitor to the right is, Cameo. Cameo is a software for what we call model-based systems engineering, or, I mean, you could use Cameo for other types of modeling too. But basically, what you do with that is you create, you see a block diagram, but really there's a lot of details into it relating different parts. So if I were to make a model of, I don't know, let's say a car, right? You would have like an engine block, you would have a transmission block, you'd have, you know, chassis block, tire block, and they, you know, you link them all together in a nice little block diagram. And within that, you can store the data of, like, oh, the engine is supposed to go, you know, at whatever RPM, and it's supposed to connect to the transmission through a shaft of this size, blah, 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 blah. And it's a really useful tool because when you're developing stuff, right, if you're developing a car, and you dole out these different, like, parts of development to different teams, right? You're developing a car, you probably have one team that works on the engine, one team that works on the transmission, one team that works on blah, 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 on electronics, right? Sometimes they're going to change their plan, right? You in the beginning will probably talk to them and be like, hey, I think we should aim for this. We should aim for an engine this size, this weight, blah, blah, blah. And you have some idea in the beginning. But later on, as they're developing, your engine team might be like, oh, we actually don't think we can make that happen. So we want to change it to, instead of 100 horsepower, we want to change it to 80 horsepower. You need to make sure that that's still going to work with everything else in the car, right? So what you would do is you would have this model built that included all this information, and you would update your model to change from like 100 horsepower to 80, and then that would automatically propagate through the model and inform you of like, oh, this is going to cause conflicts with your transmission, this is going to cause conflicts with your chassis because it's too heavy, blah, 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 right? So that's what's called model-based systems engineering. It's not a tool that I think you'll see very much of in undergrad, or for most engineers you probably won't see it. But I am a systems engineer, and so a big part of my job is like managing things like that, right? When when we have a product and our product consists of, many different circuit boards and many different controllers and all this, and we need to know, like, when we change one circuit board, is it going to break a bunch of other things, right? That's like a big part of what systems engineering is managing these connections. So we use model-based systems engineering for that. That's a relatively new tool. I think a little bit ago, I would say even as short as 5 to 10 years ago, people did a lot of systems engineering with other tools, which were for the most part by hand. Like, you would have like basically Excel spreadsheets linking like how everything connects. I think it's super interesting. It's maybe not what people think of when they think of engineering, but it's an important job, and I like it because I basically, as a systems engineer, get to see everything. I get to see what everyone else does, and at least to know it at a basic level. Sounds rough, Rex? I mean, you can say that. You could also be like my... You could be like the other engineers who think systems engineers don't contribute anything. When I got out of college, right, and I was looking for a job, and my first job offering was to be a systems engineer, and I was talking to Papa Bell about it, right? Because Papa Bell and Mama Bell are both software engineers. Papa Bell was like, huh? Systems engineer? I just want you to know that when I hear systems engineer, I think of someone who can't build anything for themselves. So, basically just a manager. We don't contribute anything to it. We just coordinate between other people. And I think that's wrong. First of all, that is I definitely contribute more than that, but that's how other engineers see us a lot of the time. Which I sort of get why they would, like, it's not often that you see us doing like really in-depth, analysis or crazy simulations or a lot of that stuff that's really considered in the weeds. But there is a lot of stuff that we do manage, and I do fix a lot of problems at work. Even if, like, technically when we have bad circuit boards, we're supposed to, like, give those to EEs, Give our bad chassis issues to MEs. We're supposed to dole out that work to, like, engineers who specialize in, specialization A or specialization B. But I can do it. And I do it sometimes, right? So, yeah, I mean, I think maybe one day in the future I'll give a talk about systems engineering, because it's pretty interesting. I like to think it's pretty interesting. Do I work in the automotive industry? I will not tell you what industry I work in. I think I've already given enough information that I feel like I'm towing the line of getting doxxed eventually, and I want to avoid that. But I'll say systems engineering is present in many industries and also not present in that many industries, right? Because you really only get value out of systems engineering when you have, like, relatively complex projects, right? If you're building a very small project that only has, a couple parts, it's probably not worth investing in a person just to manage these little things, right? Because other engineers can do what we do. It's just a question of, like, whether you want someone to have that as, like, a large part of their job, or if you have few enough parts that people can manage it, on their own. Yeah, I would say our work makes other jobs easier. There's other aspects of systems engineering. Systems engineering is, like, there's a lot of different things involved. Another aspect of systems engineering is, like, as silly as it sounds, making sure that we build the right thing, because what can happen, and does actually happen, right, is sometimes customer comes to you and customer says, I want thing A to solve problem X, right? And so your engineers come up with some idea, like they have it in their mind of like, oh, this is how I'd solve it. But customer maybe does not know how to describe what they actually want, right? So part of our job is also making sure that, you know, when we build something, we're building something that does the right thing. I really don't know how to explain it other than, you know, sometimes people get so tunnel visioned on, you know, their idea of a solution that they forget what the problem is, right? It's like that quote from Ford way back in the day, who was like, if I had asked people what they had wanted, they would have told me faster horses. And that's because, you know, who back then would have even imagined the car, right? So part of it is understanding like how your product needs to address the issues, or at smaller levels how different parts of your product need to address the issues. It's interesting stuff. I think maybe I will put together a presentation on it. Like I said, that would be a relatively long presentation though. Jeremy Fielding video? What Jeremy Fielding video? Because I'll say that people probably don't learn really about what systems engineering is about in school. But when you do like senior design courses, when you do a capstone project, like a lot of the stuff that you have to do is like sort of systems engineering stuff. It's sort of project management on some level. Very technical, like actual engineering project management. But hey, Skill Issue, how are you? You came pretty late. I think we're probably close to ending the stream because it's 9 p.m. here. But I hope you've had a good day. And I hope you... Wait, has school started yet for you? Maybe not, I don't know. Also, I think Twitch viewers getting ads right now. Rax, do I earn good money? Okay, Rax, I'll say so I told you how other engineers make fun of systems engineers is like, oh, they don't do anything. They don't do anything. Systems engineers also get paid, pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. Because I think part of why they make fun of us is because they're like, ugh, why do they get paid so well when they basically just do paperwork all the time? So I'll say, you know, on like, hold on the spectrum of, you know, profitable engineering, right? Of course you have like crazy specialized stuff, like petroleum engineers are like the top, but if you look at, you know, very common types of engineering, which would be software engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, right? Civil, maybe chemical, right? These are very broad things. Systems engineers are probably basically only second to software engineers, right? Like, again, if you're like a crazy master subject matter expert of electrical engineering and you're specialized in RF, or you're specialized in communication, or you're specialized in something crazy, then you'll probably make more than systems engineers. But I'll say systems engineering pay is pretty competitive. Long story short, yes. Wait, what's long story short, yes? What's the yes? The new school bus route? Wait, is your new school bus route like way longer? Also, I'm not gonna lie guys, I never rode the bus to school. My parents always dropped me off. So I actually have no idea what that experience is like. Do some people have to wait for the school bus like 2 hours early? Because the route just is like that shitty? If I get paid well, yes. I mean, long story short is, yes, I get paid well. But that's true of most engineering in the States. The States pays engineers very well. You walk tracks? Wow. What are you, a boomer? Was it uphill both ways through fire and sleet? Okay, skill issue. When you say people get up 6:30 for the bus, like they're waiting at the bus stop at 6:30, and I assume your school starts at 8? Is that correct? No, you're poor. I thought school bus was free. I thought that was like a whole point of the school bus. Maybe not in America because we hate socialism. But, I mean, I really do feel like school bus should be free. Oh, they catch the bus at 7 for 8:45? Fuck. Fuck. Couldn't be me. Dog, if school starts 8:45... I mean, depending on, you know, what was up that day, I might wake up as late as 8:15, you know? I could not be that that much of an early bird. Although sometimes I feel like maybe I should have put more prep in before school, you know? Look all cute, get all my makeup super squared away, be on point, but I sleep so much better. Sleep so comfy. Shit, planning of New Zealand. I don't know. I don't know if the 2-hour wait for the 2-hour commute is New Zealand problem. I think that might just be a school bus problem. Right? If that bus has to take a route to pick up a bunch of people, it wouldn't surprise me if some people just SOL. Oh, you're not from the US, Rax? Sorry, I shouldn't assume. But I understand if you enjoy walking, right? Because I enjoy going for walks. I just don't know if I would enjoy walks in the morning, because I don't enjoy anything in the morning. The morning is not a good time for Belle. Belle prefers to be in bed, cacked out in the morning, and awake and lively late at night like right now. 2 back-to-back math assignments today? What? Why do you have back-to-back? Like, shouldn't that just be one big assignment? Or did you procrastinate or something? Don't tell me you have a homework assignment and a project and you procrastinated your project till the last minute, because that would be bad, skill issue. You should be more responsible with your time. You need to be responsible with your time, because if you're not, then you'll end up too swamped in stuff to watch my stream. And that's not okay. That's not okay. You need to watch my stream. And if you end up too busy because you forgot your homework, I'm gonna be angry. I'm gonna be angry. But really, you should manage your time. Yeah, you'll end up being a VTuber. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? That's what happens if you mismanage your time. I mean, you guys probably see that in the fact that I post schedules like an hour before my first stream of the week. Oh, wait, that's just United States reading, in that I read assignment instead of assessment. Extracurricular test? You're doing math for extracurriculars, huh? You're that kind of person? Not that there's anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I would definitely have gotten made fun of. Although there were times where I competed in you know, every year they run whatever crazy national math competition. I would do those tests just like you do the tests that they offer everyone, and I would always be like a couple of points short of going to, you know, regional or whatever. But I always like to see just how I stack up against others. Not good enough, I guess, because I never made it, but I think I was pretty close most of the time. Hey, Verenius. How are you? How are you? You missed the lesson. Not that it was that good of a lesson. We were just talking about how fat turns into... You fucking breathe fat out. That's right. There's all my fat. Your mom needs to breathe more. That's what I'm saying. No, mystery, do not promote misinformation. We don't like that on my channel. I mean, I say that even though I've definitely said things that are just factually false before, but we try not to do that here. We try not to do that here. Sweaty Asian does additional tests because Sweaty Asian parent things. I mean, do you enjoy doing tests, or it's literally just your parents are like, do the math. Do the math, or I won't give you your rice for the day. Guys, just so you know, I'm Asian, so I'm not being like... I'm joking. In jest, in good spirit. I'm not trying to make some terrible racist implications. $50 out of 300 at your school doing it. Interesting. Seeing how you stack. Okay, skill issue. Now my question is, how do you stack up against your peers? Leadership. What the fuck kind of... You said you were Asian. I'm just gonna say I don't... My Asian parents were never like, you need to join student council or anything like that. No, they wanted the grades. Likely doing your last year of 6 kilotons of optional nerd... One sec, guys. Okay, guys, did you hear that? I mean, you're pretty close, mystery. That was, I guess some alert. Hold on. Okay, guys, if stream cuts off and you hear screaming in the background, it's because an earthquake has decimated me. But I think I'm fine. I don't see any crazy shaking, but, like I said, if suddenly stream cuts out and Belle's dead, you got to witness my last moments talking about Asian parenting and math and stuff. Wait, Rax, you do not get to say that, okay? Those are not words you're supposed to put together in that order. You can't say your parents are putting some balls into people. That's not... Last year, you got very narrowly beat at the best in math. Still great in basically everything except PE and art. Well, why aren't you good at PE and art then, huh? You're supposed to be perfect at everything. We don't accept you. We don't accept you unless you're perfect at everything. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No one's perfect at everything besides me. Besides me. I'm perfect at everything and no one else can compare. But you seem to be doing a good enough job. You know what I was bad at? I was bad at history. I was really bad at history. If it gets too heavy, just go. No, I mean, I'll say if an earthquake happens, I'm probably safe. The places I live generally tend to be well prepared for earthquakes. Do I need to go to a safe place? No. This is as safe as it's gonna get. I mean, the apartment below me might not be safe with my £1,000,000 falling on them, but I'm on the top floor. Rest in peace, person below me. You know, a lot of people would pay for that. A lot of people would pay to be the person underneath me. No. I mean, I'll say that I feel like earthquakes are very underwhelming most of the time. Every once in a while there's like a crazy earthquake and that's, you know, not underwhelming, of course, because like buildings fall and stuff, but like every earthquake I've experienced has just been like, oh, a person is like wiggling my chair. Not really that bad. You're digesting the tacos mystery. You want to tell me about it? Why don't you talk about it? How many hours are you gonna have to breathe for those? Did you think about that? Did you think about all the carbon you ate? How many hours? How many hours of breathing are those tacos? Most New Zealand earthquakes get the... Yeah, I mean... Are earthquakes common in New Zealand, skill issue? Wait, what did I say that had to do with wealth? All I said was I'm on the top floor. Poor people can live on the top floor too, Rex. Especially when the apartment is only 2 stories. There's just a top unit and a bottom unit. If anything, I feel like, in a lot of ways, it's nicer to be on the bottom unit. Because you don't have to go up and down stairs every day. Right? Oh god. If I move, I'm gonna have to move all this furniture. But, frick. There's a weak one somewhere every other day. Yeah, I mean, I think that's true everywhere. Like there's always micro earthquakes. Interesting, Rex. Okay. Well, I don't live anywhere with more than 2 floors. It's just 2 floors here. Just 2 floors. You'd rather be on the top mystery? Interesting. I didn't mean that in any weird way. I did not mean it in a weird way. We're talking about apartments, guys. Okay? Apartments. Although, I am always on top with your mother, too. This is why people watch me. It's not for any sort of learning. It's for brain rot. You didn't think in a weird way until just now? Well, as you continue to watch me, I'm sure it'll rub off. My say-so thought process will rub off on you. So say-so. So innocent. It's 9:15. I still haven't had dinner yet. I think we're probably going to end stream soon. You don't... Excuse me, Rex? Excuse me, did you just threaten to unsub? Did you just threaten? No. No, that's not... In fact, what you need to do right now is you need to make 10 alt accounts and sub on them all. As penance for even suggesting that. Oh wait, sorry, it wasn't Rex, it was Mr. E. Mr. E, you pay your penance. Pay your penance and make alt accounts and sub. You're reporting me? What are you reporting me for? Reporting me for being the best? For being the cutest? The best idol VTuber you've ever seen? Aren't I the greatest? The cutest, most adorable, definitely... I mean, I was going to say definitely three-dimensional, but I guess I'm fine with being considered 2D. There's a song, Super Idol? Is Super Idol a song? Is that a thing? How am I Arcanic, how long have you been here? Did you just get here? Why am I teaching biochem? I don't know. But it was just this crazy, like, crackhead chemical equations, like some freaking mad person decided to put me on Breaking Bad. How are you, by the way, Arcanic? Are you in school right now? I feel like every time I talk with you while you're on stream, you're like, oh, I'm going to class now. It's like prime class day. Yeah, go ahead and say it, skill issue. You won't get bonked. You won't get bonked. I promise. You're completely safe. You're completely safe. Tell me what you're thinking. Be honest. Be honest. Okay, you're right, Rax, that I'll make a your mom's joke, but it's not at worst. Because there's no, like, question of the your mom joke. The your mom joke is coming. It's coming regardless of what you say. It's an inevitability. It's an inevitability. You hate biochem? I mean, that's a mood, Arcanic, because I'm not a particular biochem fan either. Right? In fact, I don't think chem in general is that interesting. There's only like a couple of niche things that I think are kind of interesting to know about. But I'm not particularly enthused about anything that I can't, like, imagine in, like, a hands-on sense. For someone that doesn't know how to say GIF, you're very sassy.
Every time I see you, I have a chemical reaction winking face.
A chemical reaction, huh? Interesting. Interesting, because you might be thinking of chemistry. I'm thinking about physics, because every time I see you, I have a very physical reaction. Are you cringing? Are you cringing? I hope so. I would cringe too. This isn't a joke, this is a silent cry for help. Hi, Higami. Okay, question. Did you just come back? I feel like suddenly a bunch of people are like re-chatting. Rizzmaster Breakabell? Yup. Yup. They call me the Rizzler. The Rizstress. Maybe? Mistress? Rizstress? That sounds... I feel like that should be a thing. The Rizstress. You have ice cream? Are you gonna share? You gonna share? Wait, why am I... Why is it saying copyright issues, Mystery? I'm pretty sure the music I'm playing is royalty-free normal stuff. You revived from a food coma? Good, I'm glad. You should treat yourself. Everyone should eat lots of everything they love. Tacos. Thank you. Thank you. I noticed some nuts in there. I noticed you snuck some nuts into that batch. Anyway, you did, I'm sure. They're always there. Wait, when did I get copyright infringement warning though? Mystery? What? How did I copyright infringement? How? Did I get copyrighted somehow? Did a thing pop up? How dare you, skill issue? That wasn't even clever. If you're gonna make a D's nuts joke, it needs to... Oh, I mean the TED Talk? I don't know if that was copyright infringement. I don't know, but I don't make money on YouTube anyway, so it doesn't matter. I don't think. Or... Oh, I can be... I see. I'm so behind on the conversation. I was mistaking what you were talking about. You're talking about what I'd get reported for. But you guys aren't gonna report me, right? You're not gonna report me because you know you love me and you desire to watch me, and if I got reported, you know, bad things might might have to happen to your family. You know? You just... Suddenly, Mama E and Papa E just aren't doing so hot, you know? I mean, Ash, your girl isn't a perfect saint. Your girl's broken a law once or... I got a speeding ticket. I was going a reasonable speed. Those silly police officers, they just wanted to make their quota. Guys, I do have a question. Do any of you have small VTubers that you watch that are streaming right now? I feel like we should raid someone. Because after watching Ayuki so much, I feel like I'm lacking on my civic duty of raiding people. Not that I'm ending stream right now and that you should leave. You guys should definitely stay. You should definitely stay. If you leave before a raid and my raid turns into a raid of one person, I'm gonna be really sad. Okay, I mean, small is an interesting word because I think anything below 20 would probably count for me, because really what it should be is you should raid people similar size or smaller. And 20 is probably bigger than me, you know? But I think 20 is close enough that if I raided a person who had 20 viewers, they'd still be like, it'd still be nice. Okay, here's the deal. Higami suggested someone first, but I'm first of all going to probably go follow Royal B. But maybe we'll raid Royal B next time, because that is such a nice emote. That is such a nice emote. So here's the deal. We're going to raid Lucy Cat VT. I think that's how it's pronounced. Stay for the raid. We'll be back Friday to play. I think I want to play Honkai Star Rail because I want to do the story. But we'll also probably just chill and yap for a little bit. And then Saturday we're doing a collab with Hessel for Chain Together and Skill Issue too. I don't know if Skill Issue counts as a collab though. But we're playing Chain Together. We're playing Chain Together. But anyway, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys had fun and maybe learned a little. And I hope you guys have a good night. I will see you Friday. Ash, do you want to collab? Do you want to come play Chain Together Saturday? Or we could have a one-on-one collab. Or we could have one-on-one Discord call. Anyway, I need to start sorting out my dinner. But I am happy to have spent this time with you. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you all. Have fun with Lucy Cat VT. Bye bye. Bye bye.